I'm disappointed at the comments here. I think y'all might be lost. T. Howard is preaching truth in this conversation, and I think it's one of the best breakdowns of idealism that I've ever heard on a large platform. I assume the comments here are just Reddit bots trying to downplay the legitimate criticism of them that is inherent in this discussion. Well, I have a question. If he's saying 1 times 1 equals 2, and we all believe 1 times 1 equals 1, the justification most people seem to be using is that the definition of multiplication that we use, 1 occurring 1 times is 1. But what if Terrence is saying, how do we know if mathematically we should be using the definition of 1 times 1 equals 1 rather than 1 times 1 equals 2, as the difference is only in the matter of definition? Can we prove somehow in reality that 1 times 1 equals 1 other than just saying that the definition of multiplication we adopt? One human named Dan. Dan walks into a multiplying machine and says, I would like to be multiplied once. Beep boop. Now you'll have 2 Dans. Everyone thought Galileo was crazy. Always keep an open mind. It is truly blasphemous that you behave like crabs in a bucket, clinging to the tiniest notions beyond your limited understanding of those imposed upon you by your predecessors. You point fingers, accusing this man of being wrong despite his remarkable achievements. Over 100 patents, a PhD in chemical engineering, and the creation of the all-shape technology. There's a comprehensive 3-hour YouTube video explaining his work. Yet not a single person here has watched it and grasped the connection between metaphysics and the science we study today. It is profoundly disappointing and arbitrary that we, as a society, continue to look to the past to understand our technological advancements, yet still struggle to replicate the monumental structures of our ancestors. This behavior is a sad reflection of our inability to embrace progress and innovation. It's baffling how all these people are shutting everything he says down. The periodic table wasn't even his creation. He stated how he was going to dedicate his life to recreating the periodic table, only to find out it had already been done. It's crazy to think that without Joe Rogan giving him the platform, his ideas would have remained ridiculed by professionals too rigid and stubborn in their beliefs to ever consider anything else. Terrence Howard is a genius, and his contributions will change the path of human life as we know it. Prepare to be bombed, hoping my humility and being open enough to say I definitely don't have anywhere near enough understanding to suggest I'm correct. However, I think I do understand Howard's thinking on 1 times 1 equals 2. Not to say he's correct. The way I'm visualizing this, and based off what he argued, is that numbers are set moments in time that are supposed to be defined. 1 is 1. Very straightforward on surface level. But what that may not define is that you're taking a snapshot of a moment in time to define something with a number if it qualifies under a set of parameters. I feel you guys aren't really taking this all that seriously, considering you're the brains of the operation. Well, you act that way, so please enlighten us. One times 0 means 1 not multiplied, so you're left with the original 1. 1 times 0 does not mean 1 0 times. On the Joe Rogan podcast, he frequently referenced other people that did the work before him, even going as far to say that he tried to figure something out and realized that someone had already done it. So it doesn't really seem like he's trying to take credit for others' ideas and package it as his own. In addition, his book is on his website for free. So how is he trying to make money off of other people's ideas? Make it make sense. Funny how so many unintelligent people are calling an intelligent person's idea trash. Reminds me of when Steve Jobs decided to remove all physical buttons from the phone. People called that a dumb idea too. Like, how are we supposed to use the phone without buttons now? People couldn't image then that 1 times 1 doesn't always have to equal 1, which is another concept I understood as an abstraction Terrence was trying to prove. Which sucks for Terrence, who's trying to explain this to people who can only perceive single-dimensional abstractions. The guy also has a ton of design patents. To think that 100% of his science is nonsense makes you a bigger fool. All ideas start out with gaps and flaws, but I'm sure there's 30 to 40 of usable science in some of his work. I haven't seen any scientific arguments against his science of Terran wave fields, and I would like to know more about this and see it examined by seasoned scientists. What's going on moves me in a major way. I believe him and that there's more to it. He had no schooling for his stuff or limited education. He makes it make sense to me, and the fact that it's not all over CNN boggles me. Instead, they show the goings of Trump and other distractions. He was singing here with a purpose. Makes me want to get my shit together so I can be here to see some of it happen. Us, as Americans, we know what we know because we were shown from birth. So when we see things that are not what we call normal, then we're thrown off even more because we were taught that that kind of stuff is fantasy. And that we are superior in what we were raised with is truth, even though it's just a bunch of lies. I keep thinking people are crazy, and it turns out they are crazy, but that doesn't mean they haven't discovered something. We truly need to test his theories. Why? Because it would be foolish not to do so. Our technology and science has hit a major obstacle with both gravity and quantum physics. It would be foolish not to field theories coming from unlikely sources. I thought Terrence was streaking when he started his Terrology, or whatever it's called. But the more he talks, the more it logically flows. The fact that his work is replicable and it's some of the first work that would be plausible without gravity in the equation and in the quantum level, then why would we not try to debunk it? If history and science has taught us anything, is that anything groundbreaking is traditionally viewed as crazy because it is outside the established social norm. We need to get past the burn the witches mentality and start fielding crazy and prove them wrong or right. Howard had stated that it can never occur that the square root of a number added to itself is greater than the number itself, and that it would expose a loose thread in our understanding of mathematics. And deGrasse responded that doesn't apply to anything less than 1 but greater than 0. But I was thinking about it, and how does a square root of a number equal more than the number itself? I understand that math has to follow rules, but how can anything less than 1 even exist in the physical world? For example, the square root of 0.5 is 0.7071, etc. But assuming 1 is $1, then 7 dimes multiplied by 7 dimes does not equal 5 dimes. Even if you went down to the smallest numbers or measurements of our world, nothing could actually be less than 1 as long as you change the units, then the number isn't less than 1. So how can that apply to science or understanding the world around us because you don't see it anywhere? I think it was planned for everyone to be so against 1 times 1 equals 2 because it obviously doesn't. 1 plus 1 equals 2, but in multiplication, 1/2 of the problem is a multiplier basically saying how many of said number there is. This whole thing is just making him look stupid when he's clearly not. He's a genius, and his theories about frequency, gravity, electromagnetism, and how some of our science may be off is pretty rational, in my opinion. Tesla said that if you wanted to unlock the secrets of the universe, we have to think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. The real mathematical fuck up is 3 divided by 3 doesn't equal 1. 1 divided by 3 is 0.333, repeating, of course. 2 divided by 3 is 0.666 forever. So 3 divided by 3 actually equals 0.9999, repeating, not 1. Give this man long enough and he'll create faster than light travel. To think, if only all the scientists and engineers knew how to do math correctly, we could have been visiting other galaxies decades ago. After reading these comments and learning that Terrence Howard stuff is pseudoscience, then I like pseudoscience very much. I believe Howard will do something with his pseudoscience. If he doesn't, his progenitor will do. The man got 97 patents, I hear. That's a way bigger playing field than most scientists that I know, and I know a few, with like 40 patents each. I am noticing that most people who claim Terrence Howard's theories are nonsense have not watched more than snippets of the 3-hour podcast and are basically attacking him with true nonsense out of their own wooden sense of importance, since they studied this shit for years and have brought nothing of value to the field themselves. Don't feel bad, fellas. You can probably make a mean ham sandwich. I think there's some truth in what he's saying here. He may be onto something. While this contradicts the current academic paradigm in physics, just like every scientific breakthrough in history, it comes into alignment with other modes of investigating the universe. Even if he's right about one aspect that may be worth something, it isn't right to throw everything out without first investigating it. Even Einstein was wrong about some of his ideas. You're going to get a bunch of bot accounts come in and downvote flame this, but I agree with you and thought that the episode was great. It's good to see people who are thinking beyond the contemporary normal and exploring age-old questions. This and the cat episode feel more like the old school GRE, which I'm a huge fan of. I have no idea if what he posted will manifest, nor can I push back against his evidence. Time will only tell who's right in the end, but my guess? It's probably not the flame bots here.